your drywall's got to be. Well, if you can maybe grab it from either end.
You get one end, I'll get one end. Yeah, right. This house it's my house. You know, it's not a house I bought and moved into. This is my house. I created this house with my husband and with these incredible craftsmen.
Ilona Raven and her husband Ralph Davis decided to build their dream home in the most natural way they could to minimize their exposure to toxic chemicals.
We've had several clients who come to us because they want us to help them build something very natural to make them make it easier for them to live because they have sensitivities.
Sick house syndrome is a very big deal. It is very common. There's molds, there's toxic chemicals outgassing.
I just had this sense, I've had fibromyalgia for 25 years, and I just had this sense that maybe that was one of the factors. I heard someone describe fibromyalgia once as arthritis of the muscles and tendons. In some ways it's kind of petty, and in other ways it's very difficult to live with. You know, it's petty because there's not really anything life-threatening about it, but it's always there, it's constant, and there's no cure. It's like you have fibromyalgia and you try to piece together little bits that make it incrementally better until you come up with something that you can live with.
The chemically sensitive people are just like the canaries in the cage for the coal miner. You know, it's like these people react to toxins, but these toxins affect everybody.
I try to be really aware of my body and how it works, and that just said to me that maybe, I wasn't even sure, but maybe this would help. If I could eliminate some of those stressors, I felt that my health might be better, and that has been the case.
Natural building is lacking much of the infrastructure enjoyed by conventional construction, yet a committed group of designers and builders are offering creative options.
There's so many different aspects in designing a home that come into play no matter what material you use. The first thing I do when somebody comes in and wants to do a straw bale house, I find out about their site, because straw bale, while it does work in most climates, it doesn't work in all applications.
I can't remember when I became fascinated with straw bale. I like the idea of the sustainability of it, you know, not using as much lumber, not using toxic chemicals, not using formaldehyde-laced insulation and things like that.
Straw bale construction is pretty simple. It's something that a lot of people, anyone that has basic mobility can do it. Quite often a straw bale home is constructed with a work party, kind of like the barn raisings of old days.
That's just like me.
There she is. You make a look for her.
Yeah.
Wonderful, we've got it. Okay, let's begin.
Despite the popularity of green building, building a truly sustainable home using natural materials continues to face a unique set of challenges.
The barriers and the issues natural building faces is people's modern and postmodern ideals. They have this consciousness of that industrial is good.
People are tied to their own tradition and their own history and what they're comfortable with, and a lot of people aren't comfortable with anything that's different than what they grew up with.
I think some people do think that natural building is not for them because they think it's going to be too weird. It's going to be, you know, a little, a mud hobbit hole. But there are some beautiful natural buildings. They can have square corners if that's what you want, and some people feel more comfortable with that, but I've also found that most people are more comfortable in them, really deep down, if there are organic shapes rather than square shapes. I think the curved lines are what people are truly drawn to. Even with homes that are more grand in scale, having a round element at the center, whether it's a round foyer or even a dining room that with a round table, these type of things I think are a way that people have tried to bring some of that curvaceous shape back into an otherwise really rectangular structure.
In America, it's nearly impossible to get a building permit to build your house out of earth.
I think it's one of the safest houses in terms of fire, but yet we pay twice the going rate for homeowners insurance. The straw bales are so tightly compacted that there's not enough oxygen to sustain anything other than a very slow smolder.
Industrial companies have the $50,000 or more it takes to test a material and produce it so that it's consistent and the same every time. The natural building tries to use materials from on site, and that's from the local area. And so the clay or the earth or the wood from this site isn't exactly the same as the clay and the earth and the wood from a site 50 miles away. The concrete, cement, and the wood industry have the codes written to their advantage.
You end up with these walls that aren't perfectly smooth and square. They have all of this character, the character of whatever person was standing there smoothing the stucco.
I think learning how to make things ourselves, or at least have a little bit of part in the making of them ourselves, is healing and empowering, and it gives us a really important sense of connection. I think natural building's primary principles are enhancing ecological and social responsibility.
I feel like I've done such a service if I can help somebody get healthier.
I think customs that are healing and healthy can't be stopped. That's a self-perpetuating process.
Our son said the best thing ever that I have ever heard. We were standing in the yard looking at the house, and he said, "It looks like you scooped up a chunk of the forest and just remolded it and set it back down in the form of a house." And that's exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted it to feel like it belonged here.